Okay, I am going to explain just this first one that we did yesterday one more time, just because it was a little confusing and there were a few more steps. So this is, you'll find this in your homework. I told you to use this one as a reference. This video is going to be two parts because I think it might just be too long to put all in one. And so this passage, remember that we're making a thesis from a reading, from a fact in a reading. And then later on page 55, which you already did, this one was a little bit easier. You were kind of putting the facts together and making a thesis out of what you found in the facts. And so I feel like this one was a bit easier because we had the facts right there in front of us. But this one was a little bit more difficult. And this one in particular, passage C, which is why I chose to do this one together. So first thing I would say is when you are reading any reading where you need to gather information, whether or not it's to make a thesis, is that you need to understand what is actually being said in the paragraph. We talked about this before. We talked about it yesterday about how sometimes we missed the meaning in some of our paragraphs when we were practicing making thesis statements. So when you're doing your homework this week, read the paragraphs and see if you can figure out what the paragraph is actually saying, what it's talking about, the context. It's kind of hard for some of them. For this one, we knew a little bit about colonial America from the colonies and the American Revolution just because of last year. And so we had a little bit of a history to work with, so it made it a little bit easier. But without that context, this paragraph would be pretty difficult. And so let's get into it. So remember, your book does not give you this little formula here for a thesis. This works to build a thesis, okay? It might look a little bit different. On your thesis reference page, it might say that the fact here is a opinion. But when we are taking it from a reading, which we are today, we're working with a fact, okay? Then we're talking about the so what. So why does it matter? Then the claim, what we believe about what matters, or our judgment, our stance, and then why we believe this is our reason. And then we put them all together to make a thesis. Now, when you are filling in your table, remember your table is something that I made you. So if you like to fill in a table for your other questions, you can. When you're filling in the table, it does not have to be like full sentences or formal language. I kind of want you to not do that actually, because that gets in the way of just pulling information out. That's kind of what we're doing. We're just kind of pulling information out of this paragraph. And so, yeah, we can clean it up and polish our thesis later. That's also why I said for you to do kind of one a day, just so that you can really take a look at what you're doing, because creating a thesis isn't really easy. It's kind of hard to gather the information and then put it into one really sound thesis. So just take your time with it, okay? All right, so the first thing on our table, taking a quick look at this, I'm not going to read the paragraph for you, but we know that there's a lot going on in this paragraph, but we know really that it's talking about tobacco in the colonies, in colonial Virginia, and how that impacted England, but it's kind of just giving you a bunch of kind of facts and just the amount of tobacco that was being grown and sold. And also it touches on the health of the men and women in the colonies, and so, and how tobacco influenced that, okay? So the first thing that you need to do on your table, but also this is in your WR book, they ask you to pick a fact from the text, Okay, a fact from the text. It has to be from the text. It cannot be, we already talked about this, it can't just be some random piece of information that you chose. Okay, it has to be right from the text. Now, I chose the colonists' obsession with tobacco disappointed the London Company. Okay, and this one I'll show you in the paragraph where it comes from. Right here. The London Company, who wanted to be in control of the colonists' business, was much disappointed at this turn of events. Okay, but I didn't choose it randomly. Okay, we chose this in school yesterday, but I didn't really explain too well about why I chose this. Okay, because there are in fact other facts in this paragraph. Okay, for example, some of the other facts in this was saying the amount of tobacco plants. Another fact was that it was growing rapidly. Exports were massive. There's a few different facts in here. They started cultivating it. Talking about like the exports being no less than 500,000 pounds. Like it's full of facts. Okay, but what I want you to do when you're picking your fact is there's a few things that are important. Okay, this fact, it leads to a deeper analysis, and what I mean by that is it kind of ties to the so what in our thesis building. So this fact matters, okay, because it ties to economics. We've talked about how it changed kind of the economy. It's like England versus the colonies. It also ties to health and morals. We were talking about how it was unhealthy to do that and how we felt. Some people felt that tobacco was seen as harmful. Okay, we can tie that back to that fact. And this fact can lead to competing judgments. So wise, foolish, helpful, harmful. Okay, I didn't pick a fact that said something like the colonists grew a lot of tobacco, because that one's too plain. Okay, it doesn't actually open the door for the so what. Okay, so your fact that you choose down here in your table, or when you write it in your WR book, it has to answer the so what. Okay, so make sure that you are answering the so what with this fact. Okay, if you can't answer that question, it's probably a little bit just too plain or too vague. So have this one, finding the fact might take a little bit of time. Okay, so once you have your fact, you move on to so what, or why does this matter? Why does your fact matter? Remember, guys, we have to do it in this order, like chronologically, because you're always looking at the one above, the one that you just did. Okay, so for the so what, we're looking at the fact. And I have a few reasons why it mattered. Okay, and I did get these reasons from the reading. Now, the reason I have a few reasons is because I can build multiple thesis statements. We already talked about that. Okay, and it's actually good to practice building multiple. I think near the end, I will probably have about 2. I think the WR book might have 3. And so we need to practice gathering the information so that we can build multiple thesis statements, so that we're looking at a reading from different lenses. Okay, there's different judgments, there's different stances that that you could have on this paragraph, on the information in this paragraph. Okay, and remember, that's what commonplace is all about. You're creating a thesis statement because you have a stance that you're going to argue as to why you believe that. So you're going to have like arguments and evidence as to why you believe that. Okay, so it's good practice to find as many thesis statements in reading as you can. But for the sake of your homework, I would say like maybe 2 to 3. The other ones are a little bit easier, so maybe 3. Okay, so for my so what, or why does my fact matter, I put that it matters because it changed the economy of the nation. Of the colonies. It didn't bring wealth to London, and we read that it affected the colonists' health. Okay, that's why the fact matters. Okay, that's the so what. Then your claim. This is kind of where you need to add in a judgment word, or you need to include your own judgment. So this is from the reading, because I did get my so what and my fact from the reading, but this is where you're kind of adding your own judgment, okay, the claim. So claim might take a little bit longer for you to figure out, but we're looking for judgment words. Remember, I talked about like wise, foolish, helpful, harmful, good, bad. This is where those words are coming in, okay? So for my claims, I'm looking at my so what's, okay? So for this one, the London company had the right to be disappointed. Okay, that connects to this one right here. Okay, it didn't bring the wealth to London. For it was wise for the colonists to pursue tobacco, that connects to this one. It changed the economy of the colonies. Okay, so it was wise for them to do that. And tobacco shaped colonial society for better or worse. That one has to do with it affected the colonists' health. Okay. You can pause the video there. I'm going to start on another one.